Hello and welcome to the Inbetween podcast. I'm user host Joe Scorn. I'm joined by Tony Tones and RT. How are you, Tony?
I'm doing good. It's a sunny Sunday. It's very wet and
And
rainy.
I've been watching the WAN show recently, and I realised that in the format of ripping off the WAN show, we don't actually introduce any of the topics like they do on the WAN show. So, what are you most excited for that's coming up this week?
Well, I'm looking forward to Globo finally being added to
They
Warcraft.
finally added
It's
Globo to
huge.
World of Warcraft. We'll be talking about the Reddit poster who got a bunch of AI scalpers to pick up a fake news story about a fictional World of Warcraft character. I guess they're all fictional in the end. And we're also going to be talking about, Tony, have you ever wanted to play Sonic Riders Connect without a Connect? Because now you can. That's the
I
big
can't.
topic coming up.
Okay, I can't say I do, but we'll get into that, I suppose.
Okay. But yeah, big week for games that I've been playing, games that have been coming out. Really, really cool stuff to talk about. I've been playing the new Portal Prelude RTX. I've been playing Diablo 4 Season 1, Hardcore Storm Druid. I've been playing Sonic Frontiers, which is better than I thought it was going to be. I've been playing TF2, the Saxton Hale update.
Okay.
And I've been playing pretty much all of Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. I'm on 96%. I've played it on a DualSense. I've played it on a Steam Deck. I'm ready to deep dive Ratchet and Clank. It's really good. Before we get into that, though, I got a new mic set up. I haven't actually talked about this yet because it's been 2 weeks. I have the Elgato Wave with the low profile mic arm, and I got to say I really like it. Hopefully,
They literally got a picture of your desk. It's crazy.
that's actually how I have it mounted as well. It's underneath the monitor, so like it's below my eye level, but it's still to a point where I
Yeah.
can be fully heard. Like, have you noticed a difference in the audio quality between having the mic on the desk
I
and having
think.
it?
Oh yeah. It's clear. I think one thing was interesting is like the reverb is less. It's like deadened.
Well, the thing is, when you have a microphone next to your face, you can just turn the gain way down,
Yeah.
and you can just become a lot more clearer. The close, if you're very close, you get very bassy. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I like that. You don't like it as much.
I don't think it sounds like what you sound like.
Yeah, but I prefer to sound cooler than less
Yeah,
cool.
apparently that's most people. So apparently the thing was like you
I'd rather,
prefer a
I'd rather,
deeper version of yourself.
yeah, big time.
I'm actually the exact opposite.
I'm not a big fan of my voice. Like, I don't think
No, I don't.
anyone,
I
when they
don't.
listen to
No,
recordings of their voices, are a fan of it. I think I sound
I think there's
particularly
some
annoying.
people.
I think I sound particularly annoying. But
No.
hopefully that is just because I'm me, and people aren't just
Yeah.
turning off the podcast and I'm going, oh, fuck this guy with the annoying voice. But this is the first. What? Okay, so the first setup I had was the Samsung Meteor.
Yeah. It's
Which is
not a bad little.
I was using this
first
up
mic.
until the last podcast, and I got to say it's a very, very good little mic. It cost about 15-20 quid. Got it years ago, and
Yeah.
it's been fucking solid. It's just a small little USB
Yeah.
condenser mic. Really highly recommend that. We had the Blue Yeti, which I believe you're using a version of the Yeti now.
Yes. Yeah. The second one after that, like the Yeti broadcaster. But
And I
yeah,
had
it's
so
basically the
many
same.
issues with the Yeti.
Yeah, we did.
I've seen other people accidentally go into deep voice mode with the Yeti.
Yes, we had like the static and devoid mode. It was just so annoying.
There was like static interference down the mic.
Yeah.
I then was like, okay, fuck this. I'm going back to the Samsung, not Samsung, different brand. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to get a jacked audio setup. I was like, I'll get
Yeah.
the
You spent a
Giga
lot.
Chad like audio file, like fucking the go-to streamer podcast mix. So I got
There's
a Go XLR mixer
Yeah.
into the PC, and then XLR'd through a Rode PSA1 to a Shure SM7B, which is like the
Yeah,
gold
it's Shure.
standard for like streaming, podcasting, recording music. and it cost a lot of fucking money. And I spent like 2 to 3 weeks trying to troubleshoot it constantly because it kept getting static interference issues with it, or like a ground loop issue or something, and I could not get it to work, and I just ended up having to return it. But the Elgato Wave 3, it's a USB-C condenser mic, and I have had zero issues with it so far. And that has been a really good. I love how simple USB mics are, and I think USB mics have become shockingly easy to use. They're very much just plug and play.
I think if you're in the space of like doing like recording and like want to use different microphones and things, I can understand why people don't like USB mics. So that they're not upgradable. There's like a closed ecosystem. It's like you have to get a whole new mic if you want a new mic. Whereas like if you use the XLR interfaces, like you can like hot swap and change and stuff. However,
there is
not what most people want.
There's so Elgato is a streaming company, and they also do a XLR version of the Wave. So you can choose to have a USB version or the XLR version. I chose the USB-C version, and the low profile mic arm. I love it. I used to have the high arm, the Rode PSA-1, and it was always getting in the way. Like it was. I hated having a hanging, like you could either have it two ways. I had it mounted on the side and it came across, right? I was going full out. It came across, or you could have it like above your monitors and then pointing down, which isn't great for like, sound. But I'm using.
That's what I've done, but yeah.
I'm using the low profile arm, so it's actually coming under my monitors, and the entire time I'm using the microphone, it's below my eye level for my monitors, and it's above my keyboard. So it never interacts with my mouse and keyboard movements, and it's never in my way. It is such a good solution, and it's like really cool to see like Elgato actually making like a really cool product. Plus,
it's like where you put the where we used for the Blue Yeti. It's like that one is like on the desk. It's like where that bit is like hovering over it, and not in the way. It's like a good solution.
Well, the really cool thing about the low profile mic arm is it is compatible with everything. It has standard screws on it, so you can literally take a Shure SM7B and mount it to this. And there's because it's basically magnetic covers on top of the cable management trays, and they're big enough for XLR cables. So you can have an XLR mic on this. So they sell them separately. You can just, if you like the stand, which I would highly recommend the Elgato low profile mic arm to people who want to just use a good quality microphone for Discord recording, streaming, just talking to people on Discord is like a very good thing to use it for. Yeah, it's really good. I'm really impressed. It's insane how much of a difference having a mic arm makes when, because I ordered it as a bundle, the low profile mic arm and the microphone, and it was like you can have one of them come earlier separately. So I was like, oh, okay, I'll just do that. I'll just get the microphone early and play around with it. And it comes with like a little twisty desk stand, and it was like noticeably different, the quality having it on the desk compared to next to my mouth. And I just can't like understate to people how important having a microphone next to your mouth is important. Yeah, especially if you're not using any like preamps or any AI stuff like Nvidia Broadcast, like it's going to pick up so much more. It is cardioid, so it's picking up everything like in front of the microphone, whereas it shouldn't pick up anything behind it. It's a cardioid pattern, I believe, and then it's got gain adjustment on the thing. The cool thing about the Elgato is it has a thing called clip guard built in. So automatically, if you start peaking, it will turn down the dB gain, and it will basically mean that it'll stop it from clipping out if you start talking really or shouting. So it's like if I go it'll actually make it a bit quieter and then return it to normal again. So that's really cool.
So you were saying you're happy with the purchase. You would give it 5 stars if you could.
Well, I looked at a lot of reviews for microphones, and Elgato Wave 3 kept coming up for a really easy to use and very good microphone. I said, well,
Yeah.
I think their low profile mic arm looks really good. I'll just get the whole package, and yeah, it's been really good experience. So if you
It's good.
think I sound good, I mean, then yeah, it's probably working as intended. I have very low gain because of how close it is to my voice, so I don't have to have that, higher gain, more background noise, more interference. I am still running
Yeah.
Nvidia Broadcast on top of it just to get rid of background noise, and uh, if when I have the AC on, I need to have Nvidia Broadcast on. But this is just pretty much stock with Nvidia Broadcast with the gains cranked down. I have not gone into I'm not running Elgato Wave, which is basically um, their version of like a voice meter banana, like a virtual audio cable sort of thing, where you can
Yeah.
separate
Yeah.
your audio into different channels, which is really useful. The only problem with that is I don't use a monitor pair of headphones. I use wireless headphones, so I can't monitor the audio, which would be okay if I just plugged in monitor headphones, set it up, and then went back to wireless. But I use NVIDIA Broadcast through their app, so I would then have to try and get Wavelink to go through NVIDIA Broadcast, like an extra step. There is I think they're called VSTs or something, plugin for Wavelink, where you can basically add it to like the base level of the microphone. So you go into Wavelink, and you have these VST plugins. Basically, you can edit like like in OBS, you can add like noise gates or compressors or
Yeah.
equalizers.
Yeah.
Basically, it lets you do that at the mic level. So instead of
Okay.
having to go into Discord or go into OBS and edit that, and it was like, this is how it will sound on the stream, you edit that on the microphone level. And then when you use it on Discord, it sounds like that already. When you use it in a game, it sounds like that already. When you use it on OBS, it sounds like that already. Which is a really cool feature.
Yeah.
And they have an NVIDIA Broadcast plugin. They have like the SDK version, which I used to use before they released NVIDIA Broadcast as a OBS plugin. And the only issue I've heard was people saying that it was a bit outdated and it wasn't as good as NVIDIA Broadcast. So I was a bit worried about using the that version. But I mean, I think one day when I can be bothered, I probably should just get a pair of headphones, monitor my microphone, dial it in, try and add like the noise gates and stuff, try and use the Wavelink
And
software.
then
Because somebody's
does it need to be immediate? Like, does it need to be an immediate feedback to be able to like dial these settings in, or
yeah,
with a slight
you're gonna
delay be?
want to. The problem with using wireless headphones is you're going to be talking in such a delay. It's going to be like you're constantly trying to talk over yourself, and it's going to be really hard to use.
Yeah, but
I know,
if you
like
just try
on
and dial in settings, though, is that not a
yeah,
problem? Okay.
that I think that there's a problem.
'Cause I've always dialed things in by just getting Windows listening to a device and just dialing in from there. That's always what I've done.
Yeah, I just think the delay is going to be too much.
I
But
always find it useful because it wouldn't be me to, because I'm wearing headphones where I can hear myself outside of it. It was useful. To, like I can stop
do
and
you
then I
so
could then still
wait?
hear the final tailing of
Do you
it.
have side tone in your headphones? Then do you listen?
No, no, not. I turn them off because it is annoying.
Okay, right. Because I've had like my Logitech headphones had a side tone feature when you were using the microphone where it would feed back like a little bit of your own sound into your ears at no latency, and then you could be like, "Oh, I'm being really loud right now because I can hear
Yeah,
myself. I need to be quieter." What's happened now is I have active noise cancellation headphones, and I have no side. Um, what did I call it again? I've
like
just
side channel like adding it back in.
I just thought I have no like input from the monitor, right? So I must
Yeah.
be shouting all the time because I have no idea what I sound like. Um, yeah, what
Yeah.
was I saying? I eventually will just try the wavelength thing. I think it's going to be a pain to set up, and I'm just like, it works now, and I don't want to fuck with anything. Um, but I think it's just going to be one of those like plasters that once you go through the pain of resetting everything up, it's probably going to be better. Because
Yeah.
then, like, I can sound really good through like OBS, but then I'll be able to do that with these VST plugins. I'll be able to sound really good on Discord, and I won't have to set everything up 20 times, you know.
Yeah, it's probably worth trying to do for sure.
Yeah, I guess I could try the Nvidia Broadcast SDK plugin for the Elgato Wavelink software, and then just keep using the Nvidia Broadcast just for my webcam and try it that way. There's potential that I wouldn't need to turn on Nvidia Broadcast if I was able to dial in the settings enough that you don't hear the background noise. And then I could just... One thing you can do with the Wavelink is you can add these VST filters to any of your inputs or outputs. And so, for example, if you were talking to somebody in Discord who has like an AC going off and it's really loud, you could apply NVIDIA Broadcast to their sound, specifically to Discord, to nothing else.
Pretty cool.
So that's like there's so much like powerful stuff you can do with the Elgato Wave. There's like a virtual mixer is like a really cool thing because you don't have to have this big clunky thing on your desk, and you don't have to have all of this, you know, expensive equipment and, you know, time. But it's just like setting it up is like the barrier, right?
Yeah.
So I think I will try it at some point, but seeing as how like I have my old microphone sat next to me, I have the microphone stand for this sat next to me, I have the box that this came in lying on the floor. I think you know, we'll see how long it takes. But yeah, that is my quick review of the Elgato Wave and the Wave 3 and the Elgato Wave low profile arm. I would recommend the low profile arm to anyone with a microphone. I think it's fantastic, and I think the Elgato Wave 3, I'd recommend it to anyone who wants to pick up a easy plug and play USB microphone. So yeah. Anyway, games I've been playing this week, I spoke about earlier, Portal Prelude RTX. You watched me play that on Discord, so you have some knowledge of that. Diablo 4 Season 1, Hardcore Storm Druid. Lots to talk about how they fucked up Diablo 4.
I didn't see you play it because obviously very difficult to stream this one. Yeah, I did hear you complain about it.
Sonic Frontiers, TF2 Saxton Hale, and Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. I think I know the one you're going to pick, but tell me, what do you want to...
Yeah, well, I want to talk about Rift Apart.
Yeah, Ratchet & Clank.
I want to about the PC port and...
I'll try and give my... We have to do a tangerine on this, because otherwise this podcast will be an hour long. I have so much to talk about with Ratchet & Clank. But I'll do quick... I've got some footage here. Hang on, I'll just quickly stream it to you.
Because I have actually played much like the old...
You can see my settings that I had on at the time. So, 0.40p, really low latency.
By the way.
Sorry?
You're still full screen your face on Twitch.
Oh shit! Yeah, I would have done the rest of the podcast with my face full screen if you hadn't have told me. Thank you.
There we go.
This is why you need like people in the chat or like Tony watching the podcast. Otherwise, I would have just sat there with my face on the screen the whole time. It was like, you know, me recording that spotlight the other day, and every time I was capturing a specific Unity screen and it kept switching to a different Unity screen, so it wasn't capturing it. If we were live streaming that, someone in the chat would have been like, yo, I can't see anything. What the fuck are you doing?
I do feel like some sort of like preview of like what you're recording would be useful, because you said, oh, that's not matching up to what I'm seeing. But obviously multiple monitors required, but still.
Yeah.
No, I was gonna say, so much like Spider-Man, I have I've not fully played these Insomniac games, but I have played on someone else's PlayStation 5 for like a couple of hours at most.
So quickly go into it. The DualSense controller with this game is fucking sick. I love it. I think it's great.
Yeah, well, does it have the
It has the adaptive triggers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you think then? Like, because I quite liked it, like how the guns felt. Like, they felt distinct.
I think
people think I've not tried it. It sounds like a gimmick. It is, but it's really cool.
I think the fucking vibration power of the PS5. I'm always like, this is too powerful.
Yeah.
Like I always think it's. I think it might be a bit too much for me. I think honestly, like I would turn it down a bit. I think it's like way too powerful. I don't know.
Three settings.
I don't know how you turn down the PS5's vibration settings in Windows, though, is the problem. Is that
Well,
a
I just use
PS5
Steam.
thing?
Well, no,
Okay.
it's integrated through Steam. So you have to go through like the Steam controller stuff. 'Cause
Yeah,
that's
like...
how it all works.
So I initially had not played this at all on a controller until last night, where I was like, "Oh, let's try this on the Steam Deck." So I was like, "I'll try streaming on the Steam Deck," and because I streamed it from my PC to the Steam Deck, and then I had the Steam Deck hooked up to my 4K 60 hertz screen in my bedroom, and then I had it on the DualSense controller.
Right.
And I guess I wasn't getting the full PS5 experience, because there's some things on the PS5 controller that only work via wired rather than wireless.
Okay. I thought one of those was the haptic feedback though.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
That's the thing. Like I keep saying things like, "Oh, it needs to be wired for this," and then I see people go, "Oh, here it is working wireless." So I wonder if it's just like inconsistent.
Well, Spider-Man
when
was
it's
just
wireless.
updated to... One of them was just updated to work wirelessly on Spider-Man. And
Yeah.
I think this engine might actually be similar to Spider-Man because it shares some bugs that the Spider-Man games have, where...
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I would say overall the port is really fucking good. Probably one of the best PC ports we've had, especially compared to The Last of Us was the last Sony PlayStation port we got, and this is like infinitely better than that. My overall quick take of the game before I start talking about too much about the game and it just tangerines. It's really fucking good. It's a lot more cinematic than the classic Ratchet and Clank games.
Yeah.
But I think overall there's still fun mini games. Gunplay still fucking amazing. Story's great. It's about Lombaxes again.
Outfit?
Yeah, there's a. I wanted to show off the.
Weird.
I wanted to show off the ray tracing. I was like, I need to put on a Clank outfit so I'm extra shiny.
I'm going uncanny. Oh no, that's wrong. that's just wrong.
It's also interesting to play as two different characters as well. And then at different points throughout the game, you meet up with Clank, and then you also meet up with Clank's counterpart in this dimension. So Nefarious steals the Dimensionator, and he creates a dimension where he always wins, and then he takes everyone there. So you get to meet your Lombax counterpart in that dimension, called Rivet, who every planet you go to, you play one planet as Rivet, and then you play one planet as Ratchet, and then you sort of switch between the characters depending on the planet.
Yep.
They always just go into the ship and they go, I wonder what Rivet's up to, and then you switch Rivet. The cool thing about it's kind of purely cosmetic, because you share all the guns and you share all their levels. So like playing Ratchet or Rivet's kind of exactly the same, other than they look different and they have different dialogue. But I do like that cohesive experience of, oh, I have this weapon, I have it leveled up on this character, and it gets carried over with me to the other character. And I guess they're connected through the...
well, I assume in between they leveled up the same weapons that you did in that universe, so it kind of makes sense.
But yeah, quick port analysis. There's a weird bug where sometimes a texture will load like a really low-res version for some reason.
Oh, yeah.
And that was a bug that happened in Miles Morales and Spider-Man's PC ports, which are also Insomniac and Nixxes.
Mm-hmm.
And there has been some crashing issues. But it's really random. Sometimes I will play this game for like 5 hours and I'll have 0 issues. And then sometimes I will just crash repeatedly for a bit and then it'll be fine. I've heard other people complaining about crashing. I'm not sure what's causing it. If you look at this truck here, do you see how low resolution this texture is compared to the other ones? This is what I'm talking about. I want to show this off because this is something I know.
It's like it's really far away.
Yeah, it's using like the lowest LOD detail on this texture, even though I'm stood next to it. It's like a weird, but other than that, the game runs like flawlessly. So on my 4080 7700X setup, I'm running DLSS quality. I think at this one I'm running DLSS dynamic, but I set up with DLSS quality and maxed ray tracing settings. and I was getting anywhere from about 90 to 120 FPS. I capped it to 120, so I could keep it in that VRR window of my G-Sync display. V-Sync turned off, of course. And you get to that weapon level up. Oh, something I wanted to point out as well. When you level up a weapon, time slows down. There's a specific setting screens in Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart called speedrunning settings, where you can turn off everything that slows the game down, which I thought was hilarious. I thought that was like such a good feature.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Anytime you do a puzzle, there is a button to skip the puzzle. There's accessibility features. You don't have to do any puzzles if you don't want to. But yeah, other than the random crashing, the game runs super smooth. I had DLSS 3 on. I tried that out. The game was running anywhere from like 150, 170, sometimes like 200 FPS. Like the amount of FPS you get really depends on the planet that you're on. Some planets are like a lot less heavy than others. And I think like I could probably get a consistent 60 FPS pretty easily. I'm just like trying to push for that 120. I've got it pretty consistent now with DLSS quality and Alex Batalia's optimized settings that he just put out for his Ratchet and Clank port analysis for Ratchet and Clank. But yeah. One thing to mention as well that's a bug. If you change settings sometimes, it like makes the game bug out. So if you're going to change the settings around in this game, I highly recommend if you're going to change the settings, restart the game afterwards, and then you won't see some of this weird behavior because it has time to reset. It was also a bug with Miles Morales and Spider-Man as well. It seems like it's something to do with the port or the way the game runs. But yeah. Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. Okay. I'm going to say currently my front runner for Game of the Year, Tony, but this game came out 2 years ago, so... you know.
Well, I mean,
my games of the
PC.
year are like Ratchet and Clank on PC, which came out 2 years ago. Metroid Prime Remaster, which came out like fucking 10 years plus ago. Like, every game I'm playing this year. D4 is the only game I've played this year. I think pretty much. Oh no, sorry, I've played D4 and I think Sons of the Forest are two of the main games I've played that have actually come out this year. So yeah, Ratchet and Clank real good. Prepare for the deep dive.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Anyway, let's move on. So,
I'll quickly say that while you were talking, I was looking through the Steam settings for controller stuff. It looks like they've changed it quite a lot. There is only a toggle for the rumble. Like I swear there used to be like a couple of levels. There's definitely a couple of levels on the PS5.
Right.
It's not there anymore. That they've changed.
Yeah, my PS5 controller on PC experience has been pretty good. Like it's pretty good through Steam, and then running it using the gyro through stuff like Yuzu was pretty good.
I don't know. I just want to. Now that I've seen that, I want to quickly just. Why have they changed some of the stuff? Is it because so before you used to like just it opened like a new configurable window, so like and it had all the settings, and then also you were able to like change what each button did. I can't find where that is anymore, and I'm curious to know why they might have done that. Like, surely that's quite useful if a game doesn't work properly.
I think they've moved that around since they updated the UI to be what's the word? Format with the Steam Deck UI. Like they've consolidated all the UIs together, which means they've. So what are you looking for?
What was it? Before you could like remap buttons, like you could say like, for example, you could turn the joystick into a D-pad. And like see, and every cluster of buttons / joystick, you could then set like what each of those actually did, and it was really good for certain games where it didn't know what the hell was going on. I can't find that anymore.
You should. I think you need to enable Steam input under the control. I think it's specific for game.
Well, I've just gone Steam settings controller. Am I looking in the wrong place?
I clicked on a game and then went to controller.
So there's settings per game though.
There's an option to use default settings. You can disable Steam input. You can enable Steam input. On
So
the Steam Deck, you just hit the 3-dot key, and then basically you can just do it from there. Can you not do it through Shift Tab? I think you do it through Shift Tab, don't you?
yeah, but why is it not in the controller settings in the main thing? Like, why does this not come up there? Like, why is this not accessible in the Steam settings?
I don't know, man. I don't know what to tell you.
It still looks
I'd
than
have
it
to look
used
into
to.
it, but I think that's not something we can feasibly do right now.
Yeah, no, I say
Okay.
it's not. I have to look into it afterwards. That's fine. Let's moving on.
Moving on. Let's move on to. Oh, I want to talk about D4 quickly. So I've been playing Diablo 4 Season 1 Hardcore Storm Druid. This was the top comment from the patch notes. Fixed an issue where players were enjoying gameplay was the top comment for this patch. They did a patch which has been dubbed the worst patch in ARPG history. Essentially, so I'll just quickly run down some of the things they did. They nerfed cooldown reduction. They nerfed movement speed. They basically nerfed crit vom, which were the best stats. They nerfed armor. Like, they basically were like, oh, here's all the really strong stuff. Let's nerf the fuck out of it. Okay, I get it. You may be trying to make other options more viable. They didn't buff any of the other options, so everything just feels awful. And then they took Sorcerer, the worst class in the game, like literally awful class to play, and they nerfed it. I do not understand what the fuck Blizzard is doing. They just have no idea. But yeah, some of the Blizzard news we've had where Blizzard actually put out a statement saying we don't plan on doing a patch like this ever again. The backlash was so bad, they've basically said we will never do a patch like this again.
Right.
So there's a battle pass this season. I was basically playing Diablo 4 Season 1 Hardcore as a way to be like, I'm going to play the game differently this season because I'm kind of bored. And then even now I'm kind of bounced off it. I've been playing Ratchet and Clank, and one of the main reasons I was playing again is because I was playing with my friend, and we were playing hardcore, and he died, and he was like, I'm not playing hardcore anymore. I don't want to die. So I haven't been playing it that much. But there is a season reward called these ashes, right? And what these ashes do is they allow you to get a boon for the season where it's like, oh, every time I kill a monster, I get more XP. Or you can choose to have it give you more gold from killing mobs. You can have it make it so your elixirs last for longer. That one's actually really good for hardcore because there's the elixir of cheat death, which lasts for 5 minutes. So having an increased time limit on that is going to be really beneficial if you're playing hardcore. But one of them, it made you get more gold from mobs. Tony, I shit you not. Having this boon made vendors, repairs, and rerolls cost more.
What?
So when you earned more gold, everything cost more. That is so fucked. Yeah, inflation. Like, literally, people had it turned on. They would go and they would farm gold, and then they would turn it off to use the actual vendors and stuff. It's so dumb.
So it's like when you get a 5% pay rise, but there's like 10% inflation.
It must be but surely it's a bug. Surely it wasn't. They didn't plan on making you think you were getting more gold.
I don't know what they think it was.
Okay, Tony.
It seems to be quiet now.
Tony, it gets worse. I should have put Diablo 4 Season 1 in the Blunders section. Everyone's been asking for extra stash tabs from Diablo 4, right? It's ridiculous. There's 4 stash tabs. And Tony, they're shared stash tabs. So every single character you create has to share these 4 stash tabs. I have 2 characters.
Just 4.
I have 2 characters. My stash is full. I have so many gems, and I have a stack of the best gems, and there's no point to collect any more gems because gems are useless past that point. And then the rest of it is aspects and legendaries. There's no way to search for aspects, so I have to manually go through every single aspect in my bank to look for the one I want because they didn't think that it was important to add filtering into the fucking stash. People go, can you add just one more extra stash tab? I shit you not. A developer said, we can't add an extra stash tab to the game because it would break the game. And their reasoning was, when you are stood in the town, you are rendering every single player's tab stash tab in your game for some reason, and that if they added another stash tab, there would be too much memory and you wouldn't be able to run the game.
I have a solution. Only load what people select to inspect. I assume that's like the reason why they have that, so you can inspect other people's.
You can't inspect people's. You can't
Okay, in
inspect
that
people's
case,
stashes. It makes
don't-
no sense.
Just don't do that.
Like you were given the benefit of the doubt because you didn't know, but it makes
Yeah.
it makes absolutely zero sense.
Okay.
You can't
This is
see
what I
other
mean,
people's stashes.
I'm very confused. I have this funny. I have a funny feeling they've just outright lied there. I have a funny feeling that it's like there's another reason that's more customer or like user unfriendly, and it's like they don't want to remove it for some other reason. And I've just
Diablo 4's first premium battle pass has a currency on it. It doesn't give you enough platinum, the currency, to buy even the cheapest store item, let alone repurchase the battle pass for the next season, which is a common thing that most battle passes do these days.
Right. Okay.
So they're giving you a bunch of currency that you can't do anything with.
That's great.
Yeah. Thanks, Blizzard. Bringing that one back. Thanks, Blizzard. Fucking hell.
Thanks, Blizzard.
I thought pre-season 1 of Diablo was a pretty decent game. Like, it was the end, get like level 70 to 100, nothing to do. The end game's not great, but I thought, hey, season 1, maybe they're going to add some more end game content. Not only did they completely fuck up the pre-level 70 shit, there's also nothing to do from level 70 to level 100. There's like nothing in the season. There's double elites, which give you legendary gems from Diablo 3, and there's nothing.
Because I feel like was it last
it's
week
the
we were
same
talking
game,
about like coming out,
but
and I feel like
worse.
I was confused because like the theme is interesting, right? Like I thought it was really cool.
Yeah.
But I was like, wait, but then like I think at some point I realized that they weren't adding it like at the end of the game. It was like throughout the main game, or the main leveling section. I was like, what? That made no sense to me.
But you have
why
to
not
basically
add it after the first
to progress through this content. You have to do these seasonal challenges that are tied into the battle pass, and it's like you need to clear 5 strongholds. You need to do this thing. You need to get to this level. And basically, the level requirements from this stuff is meaning to even experience half the content, you're going to have to grind through the entire season just to get these. Like, I can't use any of the rewards I've got from the battle pass yet that give me these extra gold in inverted quotation marks, or this extra potion duration, because I'm not level 40 yet. My hardcore character is level 37. And then it's like, gets even worse. It's like, oh, I have to be level 52 to use this, or level 62 to use this next one. I have to be level fucking 80 to use this next one. It's like, and then I go, well, I could grind this entire season that I don't want to play, or in order to get rewards to make things slightly easier, or I could just go and play something else. So I've just gone and played something else. Thanks, Blizzard.
Ratchet & Clank instead. Came out just the right time.
I honestly think
thanks, Blizzard.
Man, I don't know. I feel like every year I'm talking about being excited for a Blizzard project and then being stung by the Blizzard bee.
Because this is at least like they developed a game that people wanted to play, or like didn't. But then I said they still were able to fuck up somehow.
Yeah, I hope this is not a result of people just leaving Blizzard like crazy. Like it potentially could be that we heard about Blizzard devs making crisis maps for WoW for what content they could actually ship. If this is a result of just not having enough people, would be a real shame.
I wonder if it's a combination of not enough people in key areas and like management refusing to change from the problems that were brought up, so people just.
I'll tell you, you can pay £15 for a 15-minute single-player mission on Overwatch 2.
Oh, don't get me started with that bullshit.
We're talking about that later.
Are we signed with Blunders? What's going on?
Oh, well, I started talking about Diablo 4. Okay, guys, I'll say it. D4 bad, basic. There we go, right.
Can you... If you play D4 not season 1, is it worth Is first level at level 50 worth it?
Level 1 to 70 is pretty decent. I think, okay, level 1 to 50 is decent. 50 to 70 is okay. And
Right.
then level 70 or 100 is like, there's nothing there.
Yeah. Because I think if it ever does go on sale, and they're normally really bad, like only recently, it's like I feel like Diablo 3's like probably been on sale.
Right.
But like, I feel like
I would
I
just
would
wait.
play it just for the story. Yeah, yeah.
We'll be talking about later. Overwatch 2 is coming to Steam, and Blizzard has said they want to bring more games to Steam. We'll have to wait and see how many games they actually want to bring to Steam, because Overwatch 2 is free to play. I don't know if they're going to try and double dip with Steam purchases when it comes to Blizzard games. I'm assuming you're going to have to buy them again on Steam. That's my assumption.
You think there'd be no account linking?
Yeah. I could be wrong,
I mean,
because when Microsoft acquired Bethesda, they dissolved the Elder Scrolls launcher, the Bethesda launcher, and then they basically just transferred everyone's games over to Steam. But I think Battle.net's going to stay. I don't think Microsoft wants to get rid of it, in my opinion.
If they're not going to get rid of it, then why wouldn't they just allow you to link accounts? Because that's exactly what. Like, surely you can link accounts and just be able to launch it through it, or just vice versa.
You're going to be required to have a Battle.net account to play Overwatch 2 on Steam. But you're not required to use the launcher.
Oh, okay. Well, it's the same. I don't know why you can't just link the two together, and it's like, oh, you could then have that show up on Steam.
Yeah. I've been playing TF2 recently, Tony. But not only did we have the Saxton Hale update, which we talked about, I don't know if you've heard, but Valve put out another update for TF2, and they were like, oh, we're going to make it so that community servers, so normally community servers are limited to 32 players. You can have a community server with 16v16. That's the max, right? Blizzard were like, oh, we're going to make it so you can have 100 players on a community server. So everyone's just been going fucking nuts with the 100-player community servers, and it was completely broken at launch. Like, the game could not handle it. But there's a great there's a dev called Mastercoms, who's basically a TF2 wizard, who basically optimized the server to be able to handle this many people, and it works with the Mastercom config. And then Valve was like, oh yeah, by the way, we're making Man vs. Machine available to have 100 players on it, which means you could potentially have a Man vs. Machine game where you have infinitely more bots in it, because I think every bot in Man vs. Machine counts as a player. So now you're going to be able to have Man vs. Machine matches with like tens of bots, like in like loads and loads of bots in waves, right? It's going to be absolutely huge.
Yeah, I don't quite understand how it works, but my understanding,
Man vs. Machine,
is that there's a lot of
Man vs. Machine is a 5-player co-op game mode where waves of bots, mercenaries, get sent against you, which are essentially like robotic versions of TF2 classes, and then you have to defeat them to get resources in order to upgrade your character, and you're trying to get to the end of the mission, sort of thing.
So previously, how big was like a wave, or how big was like a?
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not a big fan of Man vs. Machine. In general, I'm not a big fan of wave-based games. I've never liked, like, oh, you're here, hold out against a zombie horde for this amount of time, or just keep going until you fail. I hate that sort of stuff. Like, I think
going to the fail is dumb. I think going to like an endpoint is.
I like linear stuff that has a beginning and an end. Like wave-based stuff just seems kind of pointless to me. Like, I understand people like that, but it's not for me. Yeah.
But like Call of Duty Zombies like has an end though. Like at least in the later ones, like you're trying to like exit the you're trying to survive and then like get enough resources to exit the map.
I've been playing some TF2. I have tons of TF2 footage. I've played Saxton Hale. Saxton Hale game mode's really fun. I went on a community server. There was immediately a sniper spin bot inside the server that kept rejoining every time we kicked him. So there is still bots on the Valve official servers, but I've heard it's better than it was before. But I did encounter one myself personally, so hopefully that's a smaller issue, and that was just unlucky. But I did after that go and start playing on community servers instead of just queuing up for the quick play matchmaking. Next, we were talking about Ratchet and Clank. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart is Steam Deck verified, and I've played it on a Steam Deck, and it runs and plays really good. It's really good on Steam Deck. That's my review.
Well, yeah, is there like a drop down for like Steam Deck settings, or is it like just like recommended settings that you chose personally?
It launches with default settings that have been
Okay.
chosen, and then you can
Okay.
go and edit whatever you want. I believe it runs around
'Cause-
30 to 40 FPS,
So
uncapped.
I noticed
It should be about
think-
a capped 30.
yeah.
And then I think if you tweak some stuff, you can get it to run at 40. I think it's running at FSR 2.1 as well, which is the upscaler available in Ratchet
Yeah.
and Clank.
I find it interesting because like in I think it was Cyberpunk an LTT video recently that there was like it's now like a preset drop down like Steam Deck settings, and I think another game had it as well. And it's kind of interesting that we're now getting
That's
these, like,
something
presets.
that's something that's specific to Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
So if you launch a game that's Steam Deck verified on the Steam Deck, it will just launch with the settings the developer has set up, but they won't be like a listed settings in the settings menu.
No. I'm just saying. But I think it's interesting that that's even a preset that's like a thing now. It's like people put effort into having a preset in their game. But yeah,
we got to go because we haven't
gotten
gotten to trailers. We're talking for 46 minutes, right? Lisa Definitive Edition has been released. It is a HD graphics and pixel perfect integer scaling version. It has 120 FPS mode for PC and next gen consoles. Brand new campfire conversations, new enemies and formidable bosses, new quests featuring never seen before battles and dialogue. I think the border thing they've done is really cool because it's a 4x3. I remember when I initially launched Lisa, I was like, oh, it's like in a tiny box. It's like an RPG Maker game, I believe.
Yeah, I think so.
Basically, they've added these cool art sides. Like I remember Faith, the New Blood game, launched with that, where you could have art on the sides. New border art overlays for widescreen viewing, overhauled battle system, a new music player to listen to your favorite tracks in 20 plus new and exclusive songs, and it's a free update if you own the base game. So this is for both Lisa the Painful and Lisa the Brave, I believe, is the other game.
Okay.
And basically, the definitive edition is the release on console, and the two games are bundled together into one, which is pretty cool to see. But with the release of this, the PlayStation version is actually censored.
Oh.
Yeah. Let me turn on. There we go. Turn on my dark.
Specifically, only the PlayStation version.
Yeah. So inside the game, you had cigarettes and alcohol references. The game is a M-rated game, but on the PlayStation version, these have been replaced. Let's have a look. Find what they're replaced to. So cigarette candy has been renamed. Cigarettes have been renamed to cigarette candy, and joy is no longer referred to as pills, and alcohol has been renamed to soda. In joyful only, characters still drink alcohol in painful. Because I believe you can choose to play on like a different mode in Lisa, which depends how the characters act. There's like a happy mode and a sad mode sort of thing to Lisa. It's like a core part of the game. So censoring some of this stuff is kind of weird. But I guess
if you're the top like age or like warning rating for the game, I don't see why you need to.
Well, just this is just for the PlayStation version. They haven't censored the whole game, but I do think it's a little bit weird.
PlayStation?
I guess PlayStation was like, if PlayStation came to them and was like, "Yeah, you can't release it on our store without these changes." Sure. Yeah, do whatever it takes to get it on the platform.
But why is Sony like requiring this? It just seems a bit odd to me.
I mean, they let Black Tiger on their platform, so
yeah.
Anyway, next up we have Tony. We finally got the release date trailer for a Medieval: The Black Labyrinth.
Oh, okay.
And we got to see the brand new fist melee weapon. You're no longer swinging an axe. You can punch people, go berserk, and we have a brand new weapon, the Scythe, which looks fucking sick. Like when you're reaping people.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely cool.
Okay, yeah, Scythe is good. So this is what I mean. Like you can go like with magical weapons, you can go absolutely mental. Like
Yeah.
you're not limited in the same way you are with guns.
But yeah, a Medieval the Black Labyrinth is coming August 18th, so it's coming next month. So it's real soon. I think that's a couple of
Yeah,
weeks away. So yeah, really excited. I've just literally we did a Tangerine. I think it's out soon. TM.
it should
We
be actually. We didn't have anything like queued up, so it should be one of the
Yeah.
pretty
So
close,
there
right?
will be a Medieval Tangerine soon if it's not up right now. Yeah, it's out now. Came out a week ago. So
Yeah,
I've played a Medieval and a Medieval VR. Those games fuck, and they're really good. So really excited to try the expansion for a Medieval as well. Yeah. Then next up we have Nickelodeon All Star Brawl 2. This is a bit of a head scratcher, Tony.
yeah,
I don't know why they're doing a sequel. It's you know when I talked about the Hot Wheels sequel, and I was like,
yeah,
why couldn't you just update the first game?
yeah. Because we know the answer of like why they chose not to do it,
Financially,
why,
why they did?
but
Yeah.
why? How are you convincing a customer, a potential customer, why they should buy it over
Okay,
the
so
original?
the feature they've changed, they've added two new fighters from what I can see from the trailer. There is Squidworth, which I don't know why he couldn't just be added to the first game, and then
No,
Jimmy Neutron, um, who
again.
wasn't in the original game. You could play as Hugh Neutron, his dad, as a DLC character, but Jimmy was not in the game. I think.
I
Okay, so I've played this game like I would say about five. I got like 5 hours on Steam on this, and I've
okay.
generally played it a lot because um, I take my Steam Deck to my friend's house and then I put it up
Yeah,
on the TV and we play it like Smash Bros. Right, just local
yeah,
co-op. I don't
yeah.
know anyone who I could be like, "Yo, buy this game. We're going to play it together." I don't think anyone would be willing to buy this, but it's pretty fun just to have a bit of like couch co-op sort of thing, right? And I
Can
play,
you can
I
is it
play, I
does it
play
can
as
this be
my
played
main
offline?
Garfield as yeah, yeah, completely offline.
Okay, okay.
Based on the
So I
fact
probably could
I
buy
play it
it.
on the Steam Deck, yeah.
Yeah. It's
But
one of I don't know what it is. It's one of those weird things. Like I like obviously you could play it with a controller, but I feel like it makes more sense to play it on. I don't know. I don't know. It's just really, it's weird.
well, I had the handheld plugged into the TV, and then I was playing with a controller
Yeah, I
connected to
think
the
for me
Steam Deck.
personally, I would not want to me
All
personally
right.
on a controller on a Steam Deck.
Apparently the big thing they changed the graphics update. Like when they showed the graphics between like April O'Neil and how she looked in the first game and the new one,
Yeah, they should.
it does look better. Like I just assumed it always
Yeah,
looked like that, but um, if
I.
it says it
Do
looks
you not
better
think the
as well.
backgrounds? Do you think the backgrounds look better? 'Cause I feel like I prefer the old backgrounds.
And the backgrounds look fine. I mean, the resolution that you look at this game, like how far back you are from the characters and the stages, it doesn't like playing this on a
Well, they
Steam Deck. I'm never like, oh man, I can
Well, if you
see
go
the
back to
difference
the
between
April
this.
O'Neil bit, like they were showing I guess Manhattan like from the team
Yeah,
in the Turtles, like, it came from like a neony like background to then it's a very bland nighttime rooftop
so
with a water tower
I think the biggest
or
problem with
water
this game
tank.
was when they released it without voice acting, which was a
Yeah.
huge missed opportunity. They added voice acting to try and get people back, and they also had no alternative colors for the same character. Um, but I don't know if I think you were there when we were playing this at my house,
Yeah,
but
yeah, I
they
was.
now have it so you can have an alternate hat. So you can put like a hat on some of the
Yeah,
characters as the way
yeah.
to, if you want to play the same character.
I guess they're
Um,
trying. I would assume what's happened is they could have had like I don't think the graphics are like so different. That it's like you could update the old games. Like I feel like they want to relaunch it with like let's just relaunch it again and have everything that is meant to be in the game from the start properly this time.
yeah,
And maybe that's the idea.
I don't know. I understand. Like, I think releasing a new game
I
will
was
probably help the. I think if they release this as an update for the first game, I
I
think it wouldn't help get new players in. I don't think the player base would necessarily come
no,
back.
but I will say I think things are shifting because like I'm seeing at least on Steam. I'm
Yeah.
seeing that like updates and new DLCs, updates I guess especially, like I'm seeing them like, oh, this game got an update as like a thing like that's like newsworthy. So like it's like an old game, the game's showing up again like in the feature thing because it has a big update.
Yeah.
I think we're getting to a point where people expect like, oh, I'll go back and look. I think both socially and like I think functionally in Steam and I think other storefronts might be starting to do this as well.
My
Like I feel
thing
like
is,
a big update is a thing now.
I got All Star Brawl inside a humble bundle thing.
Right.
So I didn't purchase the game, but if they were like, "Yo, we're getting a second game. Do you want to buy this?" I'm like, "Oh hell no! I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not buying the same game again with a couple more
No.
characters and some slightly
I
improved
think there'd have to
graphics."
be yeah, I think there'd have to be a lot more characters, game modes, settings, like more crazy things to add to make it worth it.
Like, how much
Different
is
from
this
the
going to
first
cost?
game.
Like, we don't even know the release
Yeah.
date or the price yet.
Yeah.
Or if they were like, "Hey, we're going to do an upgrade path where current owners can upgrade for like £5 or something," sure,
Yeah.
I would get behind that. But
Yeah.
this just seems, re-release. It's like I've played Nickelodeon Kart Racers 2, but
Yeah.
I'm
You have.
sure that Nickelodeon Kart Racers 1 is probably the same game, but with slightly worse graphics and probably
Yeah.
slightly less racers. I feel like this is
Yeah.
like the Nickelodeon model, where they just
Yeah. It kind of
re-release
works.
the same game, but with like an update.
Yeah.
Like I've Garfield Kart Furious Racing. It's Garfield Kart, but slightly better. Yeah, I don't know. Let's go on to announcements. On Guard is coming August 16th. That's next month. So On Guard, one of my favorite games from the E3 and the Next Fest, is coming out next month. Cancellations. Gundam Evolution, a free-to-play team-based shooter Gundam game, is shutting down after 10 months. Can you believe it, Tony?
Unfortunately, yeah.
I just remember I just saw this when it came out. It was like Overwatch Gundam. There's like Gundams that were
Yeah.
not huge mechs. They were just like human-sized fighting like in
Yeah.
Overwatch. I was like,
Yeah.
who is this
No.
game for?
No.
I feel like this game's not even for Gundam fans.
No, I don't think so. Look, I don't know. Maybe they'll. I don't know. I don't know what people. Okay, people. See, somebody tell me if you're a fan of mech stuff or Gundam stuff or like Evangelion, if you want to say it wrong,
Yeah.
stuff. Do they like stuff that's like human scale? Because to me, like I like mech stuff. Is like and I like robot
The
stuff.
point of mech stuff, from my understanding, is that you like things that are fucking giant. That's the
Yeah.
scale is the cool part,
The
right?
scale is different, and I will say though, I think with stuff like Gundam and Evangelion, like, I don't like it as much as like more westernized mech stuff because like more westernized mech stuff tend to have like slower,
I
more
think
slightly realistic, slower.
From my
movement.
understanding, westernized mech stuff is Transformers. Is there any other Pacific Rim?
No.
What other like
There's,
westernized mech stuff is there?
There's not big stuff, but like even stuff. I'm trying to think. What's the thing called? I can't remember what it's called. I've completely lost it. But they're more bulky. They're more like tanks, but with legs.
Tanks
They're more
with
like that, and
legs.
it's like slower. There's some Japanese stuff like that
Skyrim
as
with
well,
guns.
actually. Yeah, effectively. But
Let's
I
move-
prefer the more realistic stuff, not in terms of look, just because like they're more. I mean, I like the look as well, but like I can get behind like the Gundam and Evangelion look. It's just that they need to be slow and not move around like the same speed as which a human would. Is that's not for me.
Let's move on to releases. So 17th of July, we have the Break-In release. This was a game that I played for a Next Fest. I played it with a bunch of friends, and it's essentially like Phasmophobia, but you break into the house and steal shit and try and put it all into a van. It was pretty
Oh,
fun,
this
but it was
one?
also pretty
Yeah.
simple, and I also played it in
Yeah.
VR as well. It was
That's-
very janky in VR, I will say that.
Yeah.
I went, and from what I read of the reviews, people were saying the VR is still very janky, so maybe I will
Right.
pick this one up on a sale or after a couple of updates because it's released into early access.
What's
so
the base? Wait, what's the base price?
base price is £12.79.
That's
So
not too bad. Okay.
next up we have 18th of July Viewfinder launched, which is the mind-bending
huge.
photo perspective f-stop style game that was one of my favorites from the Next Fest, and it seems very well reviewed from the Steam reviews. Seems like people are enjoying it. I wish there was more to do. The puzzles introduce interesting mechanics, but for some reason I felt like I was in a tutorial for most of the game. I wish the forced perspective bits would have shown up more because they're pretty cool. Buy it on sale since it felt short for the price, 8 out of 10. So it seems like it's short but sweet, pretty much.
Yeah, that think is always gonna be the issue with these sorts of
Coming in
things,
at.
but they have to be short.
Have you seen the screenshot of Tomodachi? That looks great.
Okay, what the hell?
Uh,
Interesting.
Portal Prelude RTX. I was playing this. I was streaming it to you. I have some
Why?
interesting takes on Portal Prelude RTX. It's got mostly negative reviews. I'm wondering. Okay, do you remember
Is
when
that
Portal? Do you
specific level?
remember? Do you remember when Portal RTX launched and
Yes.
there was lots
Yep.
of negative reviews?
Yeah.
I'm wondering if we have another case of my PC can't run it, so it's bad.
Is there maybe also a thing of like, because I was watching like you play a little bit of it, like some of the early levels to me seem very frustrating.
So
I
think
don't think I want to play this, like watching you play it.
when you watched me play it, I was playing level 9, so that was about
Yeah.
halfway through the game. I would say the
Yeah.
the early levels are quite good, and then the later levels are actually, I think they start to get really good. Like do you remember the level that took place over 2 different levels and you had to keep going backwards and forwards between them? I thought that level was fantastic.
I think that was
Um,
interesting. I don't want to play it.
Yeah, I could see that. Like, I think Portal mods are very mixed bag because when you play
Yeah.
Portal, it has that Valve polish, that Valve
I-
Q&A,
yeah.
where
Yeah.
there's
They've
never
got like a
they've
wide
got
net where it's
there's
mod
never a
specific.
bug. They always make it in a way where you can't get stuck. They make it in a
Yeah.
way where you wouldn't expect most players to get really stuck. There's always some
Yeah.
sort of thing guiding them towards the answer. Um,
But I'm gonna say is that I'm glad I watched you play it to the end and see the ending and like because like, I kind of liked the story. Like it's not obviously
Yeah, so
fine,
I never
but
played.
I enjoyed it.
I never played the original Prelude mod. It was a mod that came out in like 2008, so it came out like a year after Portal was released. So it's like a super early Portal mod, and it's basically got the DLSS RTX models plus some extra ones for this mod. I like these new mechanic in this was the like death beams that go off on a timer. This looks to me, it looks like the combined teleporter texture from Half-Life 2 zhuzhed up, which I'm assuming is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool. I like that so the original mod had TTS voice acting, but they actually went and added real voice acting to the full RTX mod, which is really cool to see. My biggest like quick take, because I think I want to go a bit deeper on this with a tangerine.
Yeah.
Since I finished it and have some interesting stuff to say about it, was this is probably the worst way to display DLSS 3 because so many of the puzzles involve moving fast through portals and then shooting portals very quickly, and having reduced input through something like DLSS 3, which is kind of required to run a path trace game this heavy, is not a great experience. Overall,
Yeah.
I think the mod is interesting and worth checking out.
I wasn't. That's one thing is that I wasn't a big fan of like how you game it, like how it wanted you to game momentum. So that's not how I want to play Portal.
Next up, we have Tectonia. Came out 18th of July. It's essentially like a mix of a mining game and a like Satisfactory style game. That I think I had this demo downloaded for like half a year or something. I was like, oh, I'll do a spotlight of that at some point, and then the game came out, and I don't think the demo is available anymore. So
no.
But yeah, it looks really cool. From what I've heard, it is like that Satisfactory level, like just build infinite machines trying to mine out these big mines. It looks really fun. It's released in early access. We're going to have to wait and see how it turns out after it's had a few more updates. So as an avid resource management factory player plus spreadsheet savant, I have to put this game down and walk away. Hopefully some things will be addressed in the future. Updates outlined below are some of the considered this genre. I've had so many quality games to recon. It's early access, so if anything changes, I'll remove it from the review. Tooltips are off for some buildings. Belts do not let you turn spot items per minute. But there's also multiple belt tiers. Building does not tell you how many each crafting cycle takes. Oh, so it's like, Satisfactory, where you can be like, how efficient is this machine? And it's like, well, how fast are these belts going? And then you can do maths to be like, if I
Yeah.
have this many generators to this many machines, then it's this efficient.
Yeah. Let me tell you, Anno 2070 did not tell you how quick it took to process stuff, so it was really hard to figure out like how many. Like you recently played
SteamWorld
SteamWorld
build.
Build.
Yeah.
Imagine if it didn't tell you how long it took to process us. You didn't know you
Guys,
could get 2
spoiler
outputs
alert.
of 1 farm.
There will be a spotlight of SteamWorld build, and it will feature an hour of me playing a city management game.
An Anno and Dungeon Keeper.
Yeah.
But yeah, imagine not like, and then luckily like Anno games after that re-added it back in. But yeah, it's like it's kind of necessary because like I think it's like people think it's I don't know if it's like just they didn't want to add it in or like if they just didn't add it in because it might be like more complicated to show. But yeah, I think I in my opinion it's a must and it just makes it much more fun to like because then you can like start theorizing what you want to do and it just makes it way more fun.
This is a sort of game where like you probably have fun with it now, but I'd rather just wait for it to release with all of its content.
I think for me like, it's a little bit early. I don't have a problem getting it earlier.
Tony,
to support development.
Let me ask you a question.
What the hell is this?
So this is you want those games, right? So here you go. Let's see you clear them now. Have you ever? I don't know how many ads you look at these days, but whenever you're on your mobile, on like you're looking at like Twitter or something, you see an ad, right? There's an ad, and it's like download this game, and it'll be like there'll be a guy stood next to a pile of gold, and there'll be some lava and some water, and it's like pull this lever. And then the lava falls down and it kills the guy. And it's like trying to.
Is that the one with like the girl on one side as well?
Yes.
Like,
yes.
It's like clickbait.
The clickbait games, and then you go to the game page, and that game's not real. It doesn't exist. It's a clickbait game to get you to play some other dog shit game, right?
Right.
So the Monkeycraft Co., the creators of the Katamari Damacy reroll and the Kelowna Fantasy ports were like, hey, why don't we take every fake game from mobile advertising and turn it into and make them actually playable in this minigame collection? I was like, that's fucking hilarious. That sounds exactly like something I would love to play. So yeah, that is exactly what this is. So it's like saying, hey, you saw those games, you got annoyed, you wanted to play them. Here you go, you can now play them. We've made them playable.
I don't know what's happened, but like I feel like the way ads are being shown now, I just don't see them, whereas before I used to see them.
I definitely see ads when I see them because I'm so ad blocked out the ass on like my PC and my everything. Yeah, so it's so jarring for me. Like when I go on to like Twitch now, I see so many more ads, and it's just I'm just so not used to ads. Or on my phone, I see ads on like Twitter and stuff, right? And I'm just like, oh, what is this? I don't, I see the ads because I got so used to never seeing ads, and now they're coming back because of ad blocking measures, anti-ad blocking measures. Yeah. That came out 19th July. Very positively reviewed. That's really a review. Thank you for giving me my iPad baby dopamine rush without the risk of getting malware on my phone. Oh, we've got a request here. When a recent review said, I want That's How Mafia Work. If we could get That's How Mafia Work as a playable game.
Where's that? That looked great.
I like how every single review is someone saying, yeah, here's this awful ad I saw. Can you add it as a game to this game mode collection?
That's so cool. Yeah.
Next up we have The Sims 4 Horse Ranch expansion pack. Came out 20th July. Mixed reviews. I actually have no idea what people think about it. It's mixed.
I didn't see. How expensive was it, first of all? Is it a £33 expansion like it always is?
Wait, what? It's £34?
Okay, 35. Yeah, so this is a problem. Almost all DLC for Sims 4 is like 35.
Jesus
unless it's £18 for like some clothes. And that almost indefinitely is either mixed or negative reviewed for that reason. But people still buy it. I actually buy it on Origin or the EA calls that bunch.
Here's the top review saying it's absolutely full of bugs.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I feel like people were hyped for this horse DLC for some reason.
So I believe I want to say Sims 2. There was
Yeah.
a good horse update, and
Right.
it was meant to come. I might be misremembering here, but I swear there was a plan for it to come to Sims 3, but it never did. Or like it was meant to be like an episodic DLC for Sims 3, but it wasn't actually in it. And it's just like always been hyped up, and then it's then like never added correctly again since the Sims 2. I think it's
Seems
a
like
DLC in Sims 2,
it
but
seems like people generally like the gameplay of the expansion, but it's very buggy and it's very expensive. That's what
yeah,
I'm
I
getting.
don't think what they're adding is. I want to say like right now, I think most things they add are like £10, £12 at most. What they put out,
We'll just
and
have
they
to
always like ask
wait.
for 3 times more money.
We'll just have to wait for The Sims 5 to release, and we can have some more DLC for that. Start from the
No,
beginning again.
we're waiting for the Paradox Sims, aren't we?
Oh yeah, the Paradox Sims game. Yeah.
I'm not saying this like makes it any better, but this is why I kind of appreciate Paradox's method. Like at least the money you pay, like I feel like I'm actually getting what I'm paying
Tony,
into.
Dead by Daylight Nicolas Cage chapter pack released on the
It's finally
25th of
out.
July, and it seems very positive.
Huge.
Saying it, Nicolas Cage is in Dead by Daylight. Say less. I don't need to know anymore.
Are there any funny reviews?
I've already gone past it. Mr.
There's
Run and
always control
Jump,
shift here.
25th of July. Tony, we're on releases and we're an hour and 15 minutes into the podcast almost. So,
I mean I got the times. I know whose fault it is.
okay. Mr. Run and Jump, another one of my favorite games from the Steam Next Fest from Atari. There are 7 user reviews for this game, so it seems like not a lot of people are picking it up. But guys, if you love tight 2D platformers, check out Mr. Run and Jump. It's really good. Let's read some of the reviews.
It's just not getting much reach.
It seems like everyone who's played it's enjoyed it so far. So that's really nice to see. Everyone's talking about being a tight platformer. I think like I literally had no idea this game existed until I played the Steam Demo Fest. So I'm assuming not many people know about this game. But take it my word for it, it's really good. If you like Meat Boy sort of style, like tight platforming, or like Celeste or anything like that, Mr. Run and Jump is legit. It's really good. Remnant 2 came out recently, and this has been doing like gangbusters. I think it had like 100k concurrent, 100k people were playing it. Like,
I thought this looked really
purchases.
Really cool. I like the looker one. I think I even might own it, but like I was like, there's like this like that, but actually like turned up to maybe not 11, but like they've done like to perfection, and like I just really like the look of it.
I feel like Remnant 1 was sort of infamous, where people seemed to like it, but nobody talked about it. Where it was like this weird co-op Dark Souls with guns game.
Yeah, I feel like it was a rough implementation with interesting ideas, but then like not as cohesive as a world. I feel like Remnant 2 might have learned from that, and like from what I've watched of it, like it seems like exactly the same sort of idea, but even cooler.
We're also getting a Unreal Engine 5 game. It is running Unreal Engine 5. Some people are saying like, oh, the game is so heavy it requires, upscaling methods to make it run.
Okay.
Like, oh, here we go. This game is only playable with DLSS, FSR, XeSS. Changing settings to load doesn't improve performance. Those playing on older rigs, this is a nightmare. So I saw that was a criticism people were saying about it. It looks pretty good from what I've seen. From some short gameplay I've seen of people playing it, it seems like people are really enjoying the game. It looks really fun. And I've heard co-op is good. Like people are saying like
I'd try and co-op, that'd be fun.
Yeah. I have the first Remnant on Epic Games, I think. I think it was given away free in Epic, but I just haven't got around to trying it.
That's why I have it. Yeah, you're right.
But yeah, this looks really cool. Maybe check that out one day. But Ratchet & Clank, we talked about this one. It just came out July 26th. This game fucks. You want to hear the sad? You want to hear the sad thing, Tony?
Go on. Yep.
This is the third weakest launch for a PlayStation exclusive on Steam. I think numbers were saying about this debuted about 9,000 people playing it.
Oh right.
But to put that in perspective, like I think the biggest one was like Horizon Zero Dawn, God of War, were the big ones. Spider-Man was bigger. But to put it in perspective, like I think some games that have got less players than this at launch, like Uncharted, got less players than this at launch.
Right.
I think Miles Morales might have actually got less players than this at launch.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Is there a way to look this up? How many PlayStation's biggest launches on?
Yeah, because there's not a lot of. Well, I mean, there's a lot for an indie game, but there's not that many reviews for a AAA game at the moment. So,
I think one of the problems was that Sackboy got a lot less than this. I think one of the problems was there was like no advertising for a lot of like Uncharted.
no, I've seen two.
Uncharted just came out.
Yep.
Sackboy just came out. There was
There's
like
like
no
one trailer for
fanfare.
those two.
There was
Yep.
no trailers. They were just like,
Also,
and
like,
it's
they
released.
almost like shadow launched the trailers on YouTube as well. Because apparently, like, there are people who are subscribed to these channels and never even received like this came out. Like they'll go back and see it later and go, "Wait, what?" So, yeah, it's still when you buy a PS5. I don't know. I hope it does well overall. Like I don't know what the sales number are, but I feel like slowly over time when people actually finally realize it exists.
I wanted to be like, oh, I'm just like my big game for the year was going to be Diablo 4, and then this was announced last month, and I was like, okay, I got to get this because I want to be like, hey, I want more Ratchet and Clank games on PC. And how do you vote to fat cat money people? You vote with your wallet.
Yeah.
And I was really hoping that other people would join in and be like, hey.
Wow. They didn't know it existed, but yeah.
I think this game's fucking awesome. I think more people should play it.
But
But I can also understand in this economy if you don't want to spend £50 on a PC port of a game that came out 2 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's one way to look at it. I don't know. To me, it's still like I would still treat it as a new game, and the fact that it's AAA game for only £50, I think is well worth the money.
Yeah,
but that's below what the original like.
My biggest hope is they bring more Ratchet and Clank games to PC. I would love to see a Insane Trilogy Spyro Reignited style remaster of the Ratchet and Clank games, the Jak and Daxter games, the Sly Cooper games.
Yep.
One of the funny lines in Ratchet and Clank is there's a Dimensionator, and they're going through the different dimensions, and one of the dimensions they talk about a raccoon wearing a mask with a hat and a cane, and I was like, oh yeah, that's like, I'm like, when was the last time a Sly Cooper game came out? Like, it's been we need like these mascot platformers from like the PlayStation era. Please bring them back. They're so good.
Yep.
And I think PlayStation published the Sly Cooper games. Who owns the rights to Sly Cooper right now?
I would assume.
Wasn't Sly Cooper in PlayStation All Stars?
Yeah, I'm gonna say if Sony published it, they'd be.
Yeah, Sony owns the rights,
but they also own
Sly Cooper
outright at this point. So,
Sony, make a Sly Cooper game for God's sake.
Just get Insomniac to do it when they're not busy doing all their other massive games that they're doing.
Oh, you mean like Ratchet and Clank to PC, the Spider-Man 2, and and I don't know if you remember this, they're making a Marvel Wolverine game.
Mm-hmm. They Insomniac do a lot of massive, really good stuff at the moment.
Let's move on to quick news. Epic Games is giving away Elder Scrolls Online away for free. I don't know if you saw this. I was just like, what the? This seems like the most random game to be in an Epic giveaway. But yeah, maybe more people will check out ESO, I guess.
I guess, but they... I don't know, I like ESO, but like what they do makes it really awkward to get back into it.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, like once you've paid for something, like they removed the subscription ages ago, there is still a subscription, but it's a different system. You don't need a subscription. But yeah, I like ESO. I think the starting areas are fantastic RPGs. Like I'm not even like MMORPG. I think the stories being told, like the quests you do, are genuinely really good. Maybe not as
Somebody
much
says,
choices as a
open
real
Epic
RPG,
Games
but
Store, claim free game, close Epic Games Store. Yeah, that's pretty much me every Thursday.
That's what I do.
I have actually played, like, I would say more free games through Epic than most people who
Yeah.
have claimed these games have. I've probably played like at least 5 or 6 different games.
I am.
Probably more than that. Totally reliable delivery service. World War Z, Cow the Kangaroo, that weird flipper game. What's it called? What's the flipper game with the table that you play? Pinball game. The creature in the well. That weird puzzle game. That's about 6. There's probably more, but yeah. I've actually gone and played some of these games I've claimed free on Epic, and yeah, they're a mixed bag. World War Z is fucking legit though. I never would have played that game unless it was free on Epic, and World War Z is actually legit, a really good game.
I the other day I had not done this until the other day. I had not downloaded GOG Galaxy.
Yeah.
It turns out like I already linked my Epic like in the account settings. Like so it already did it for me. Like it already linked Epic to GOG.
Yeah.
It's like fully integrated. So I used GOG to look what I had what I owned on Epic, which is interesting. I've not installed the Epic launcher yet.
Okay. Sega is doing a Sega base fishing giveaway if you sign up to their mailing list. So you can get a free copy of Sega base fishing if you don't own that Dreamcast classic.
Fantastic.
Square Enix has removed the Novo from Forspoken. It came out the start of this year, so it seems like just get around that piracy window and then yoink de novo out, despite claims of no performance issues related to de novo.
No. I mean, I assume it's more of a business situation where they don't have to keep paying them for the service.
Yeah.
They have to remove the code from their product.
Final Fantasy XIV is coming to Xbox. This was announced at a conference between, I think, Yoshi P and the new head of Squeenix, as well as Phil Spencer. I don't know if you know this, but Final Fantasy XIV was actually available on the PS4. It was actually you could yeah.
I remember that.
What about
available for Xbox though?
No, it's never been available.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if the way that Squeenix works is they have a very good relationship with PlayStation, given that all of their games come out on PlayStation first, and then later down the line they go on PC or other platforms and stuff like that, right? Like you can see with Final Fantasy 16, it's going to be exclusive to PS5.
Yeah.
And later down the line,
I guess I never like tweaked that, but yeah, that is true. Yeah.
We actually have a friend who played Final Fantasy 14 on the PlayStation 4, so
crazy.
There's that. I think there's also a new DLC coming to Final Fantasy 14, as well as allowing you to play more of the game for free. I think they announced. Oh, they also said more Squeenix games on the Xbox were coming. That was something they specifically announced. So I'd be surprised if we don't see more Squeenix stuff on the Xbox. Armored Core 6, the new mech game from Software, will have 120 FPS option on the PC.
Okay,
a From Software first on PC. Elden Ring is capped to 60 FPS to this day. It features zero upscaling technology. It still has frame pacing issues and stuttering issues.
But it has ray tracing now. What do you mean?
Yeah, it's got that ray tracing that you can't tell is on.
Yeah. My question is, will there be a shader compilation stutter? Because it won't be a true game without that.
I have to say, I think From Software has great game design pillars, but they have awful technical knowledge when it comes to making like ports.
Bethesda.
I don't know if I agree that Bethesda has amazing game design pillars. I don't know if I'll go that far.
Okay, all right, fair enough. I think I think they used to have more good pillars.
If you said if you said Obsidian Entertainment has great game design pillars, but they sometimes struggle with making technically solid games, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Next up we have Path of Exile 2 was going to be an expansion to Path of Exile 1. ExileCon is going on right now in New Zealand, and they have announced that Path of Exile 2 and Path of Exile 1 will now be standalone games with separate game balance, systems, and future expansions. And your purchases will still be shared between both games.
Cool.
So if you buy any of the Path of Exile is a free-to-play game, and the way that they support it is they have microtransactions that are either quality of life stuff, like extra stash tabs or stuff like that, or they are cosmetic. There is no gameplay advantage to Path of Exile's microtransactions. Is the way that they do it for their free-to-play game. Next up, we have your favorite topic: Warcraft fans trick AI article bot with Globo hoax.
Globo is finally coming, guys.
So, I don't know if you've actually read the Reddit post itself that sparked this hoax.
I did a little bit, yeah.
But basically, it was a top Reddit post on r/Reddit, right? And they essentially put inside the post, they were like, "Hey, I'm super excited for the new character Globo, guys. I know this is not a real character, but I just want bots to pick this up and put it in one of their shitty AI scalped articles."
And the comments, I think, like boosted it.
Yeah.
Pretending it was real.
But the AI articles actually picked it up, and they actually even put in there like the section about AI articles picking it up, and I was like, this is fucking hilarious.
Well, that's the thing about AI. They have no checks. Like, they don't have any logic checks. They don't have any what do you call it? I like making sure like things are consistent. That's not really what they do.
This is becoming more and more of a problem where news sites are just scalping Reddit and other game forums and basically going, "Oh, here's news. Let's use AI to put together like a summary of the story and post it through as an article on a website to try and get ahead of everybody else."
I saw the other week. I can't remember which news, but it was like a random online news and I never heard of, like, fired almost all of their staff and replaced them with AI. It's like, well, I guess they're just pumping out shit now.
Yep.
Like, I think you could use it. Like, I think using AI part of your journalistic stuff is good. But like, are we really at a point now where like quantity of articles is just that much? Like, it was something like this website or like web journal. Like, it was something crazy. Like, they wanted 100. Maybe this might be too high, but it was something along the lines of like 100,000 articles a year. I was like, what the hell? Why do you want that many?
It's just click-through rates for ads. It has to be. Like,
guys, can you stop clicking? Like, can we just like? I just want to, like you have like the lights off there, where it's like, like Earth Day, like people turn off like all their electronics and stuff.
Right.
Even if you don't actually, but can we just have a don't click clickbait day? Like, for the love of God, can we stop being fooled by this shit? It's not real. I
wouldn't be able to read my favorite newspaper, The Sun. I wouldn't be able
to. No,
do
you can click it if you want to, but don't click it only. Like, don't get fooled by it.
Anyway, let's move on to Emulation Retro. We have Voxel Doom 2. Do you remember the Doom 1 mod that made every single sprite in Doom a chunky voxel 3D model?
Yes.
I immediately was like, this looks so fucking weird because I'm so used to Doom 1 sprites, but I think over time I've been like, oh, it's kind of cool to have like, I think items and armor, I think it looks a lot better than the sprites in my opinion, but when you see them like animated and floating around. But they're taking the work from the first game and they're putting it into the second game. So August 1st, which is tomorrow? The day after tomorrow? Soon, TM. You will be able to play this Doom 2 mod that adds chunky voxels to Doom 2. So that's cool to see.
I think it looks pretty good. I think it shows you can get voxel based or like pixely 3D model stuff, right? Like, I think that works. I think people need to go back to it.
Next up we have, Tony, I was alluding to this in the intro. Sonic Riders, the Kinect Sonic Riders was a Kinect launch title. I don't know if you know this. So Sonic Riders was a Kinect launch title that required motion controls to play via the Kinect.
I don't remember being that good of a game though. But That's not what
Well,
you. That's do people think differently to what I thought?
well, critics were positive at the time when this release were positive
Yeah.
about the graphics, the music, the multiplayer, the story, and the amount of context.
I mean, they like this. Okay, sure, whatever.
But there was heavy criticism was given for the game's motion controls. And as a Connect-only title, the motion controls are the main part of the game. I mean, they found them unresponsive and inaccurate. So what if you took a game that had, according to critics, good graphics, music, multiplayer, and story, but you allowed modern controls through an Xbox controller, for example? You could have a pretty cool Sonic racing game. So it's finally playable now through the Sonic Riders No Connect patch. So this is actually being done through Xenia, the Xbox 360 emulator. And what you do is you need a copy of Sonic Riders, and then you download their patch from. You can get it from Game Banana, or Google Drive. You can go to their Discord as well, and essentially you patch your emulated Xenia version of Sonic Riders, and it allows you to play it with a D-pad. You can play it with an analog stick. You can play it with a controller instead of using motion controls, which is cool to see.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's always
Would you
cool.
not rather play a Sonic All-Star Transformed?
Well, that's a different game. That's a a
Okay,
kart
okay.
racing game. This is more of like a skateboarding game.
Yeah, I personally I don't really care about this game. To me, it looks like I don't know. To me, it looks like the movement pacing from like what's the word of Sonic Heroes, right?
Right.
But with some little extras, but like nothing else to break it up.
Well,
So
I
I'm
just
not
think
really looking for that mechanic as a racing game.
I think a game that you might not necessarily be interested in, but is a game that, by all accounts, should be a good game that was held back
Yeah.
by motion controls.
Yeah.
There is a way to play it without motion controls.
I think
Let's see what people think of it now.
there's a get. I can't remember what it's called, but yeah, absolutely. Like I feel like it's fantastic we can remove or like add new controls back in. There's a game that I really want in. I can't remember what it's called, but it's like a mech game. Like you were inside the mech. It's like a tank mech, but you were inside of it, and like so you were like a tank commander. But it was like only through Connect, and it's like such a cool concept, but the Connect controls just didn't work.
I can't
Like, can we
believe
make
you wouldn't.
that
I can't
Connect
believe
free?
you wouldn't mention the number one Connect game.
Well, I never saw it, so
Where's Project
it's only
Milo?
rumored.
Where's the Project
It's not
Milo
real.
patch?
It's
Okay.
not. Where's the actually released patch for Project Milo?
Next up, we have an update from Dolphin on Steam. There is a new blog post from Dolphin detailing the Steam debacle. The Steam version is permanently cancelled. Valve has said the only way to get Dolphin on Steam is to come to an agreement with Nintendo's legal team, which, as we all know, is a dead end for anyone.
Yeah, you can't make a deal with them.
So they are taking the features they made for the Steam version, such as a full big picture GUI that can be used directly with a controller, and instead adding it to the non-Steam version. During this article, they actually talk about the Wii Common Key and whether Dolphin would be breaking the DMCA by using the Wii Common Key in it. And they basically, their response is, the key has been publicly available for years and no one has really cared about it, so they're just going to leave it in. That's their response. Is they think it comes under fair use at this point, is what they're kind of saying.
Yeah, because this is the thing, is like yes, his key is technically for this thing, but there's actually nothing. There's nothing like other than like being very unlikely. There's nothing to stop you from just like you accidentally reproducing the same key.
They go into they say that sounds extremely bad at a glance, and they certainly had a moment of panic after first reading it. But now they've done their homework and talked to a lawyer. They're no longer concerned about this being an issue, is what they said.
The point of a key is, for those you don't know, it's like yes, you have these inputs to generate it, and you use it to unlock stuff. But the whole point is you can't look at the key or vice versa, to be able to like break it. It's meant to be as random as possible, but when it's in the right place, unlocks the correct thing. So yeah, it's just a load of random
So
numbers.
essentially, what happened was, because it came out, the story was all over. Initially, the story came out and it went Nintendo DMCA's Dolphin because it doesn't want it on Steam. What happened was Dolphin's coming to Steam. Valve goes, "Oh, we'll check with Nintendo if they want this to come to Steam." Nintendo sends back a letter. This is exactly what Nintendo wrote to Valve. They said, "We specifically request that Dolphin's coming soon notice be removed and that you ensure the emulator does not release on the Steam store moving forward." That's what they said in response to, are you guys cool with Dolphin being on Steam? And they were like, we'd rather it not be on there. And then Valve's response was, okay, you sort it out with Nintendo, otherwise we're not putting it on Steam. They're pretty much at a dead end.
Yeah. I don't think Valve's a good guy here, because yes, obviously it's being used to emulate stuff, but in my opinion, it's like not legally the ownership of Nintendo.
But it seems like Dolphin's pretty much gone, well, dead end. We're just going to take the features we built for the Steam version and just put them into the mainline Dolphin build. So
yeah,
that's cool to see, at least that not all the work's gone to waste.
Maybe give a little donation to the friendly
Steam news. Blizzard's hit game Overwatch 2 is coming to the Steam store. I think it's August 16th or something.
Oh, that's like a couple of weeks.
Well, they're releasing it with the big, huge content drop of the next single-player story campaign thing. So you'll be able to play the single-player campaign mission that's going to be like 15 minutes and going to cost money, and then you won't be able to play any more single-player stuff.
Yeah. Fantastic. Great work.
The cool thing about this announcement is it will not require the Battle.net launcher, which will make it a lot easier to run Overwatch 2 on the Steam Deck. They have not specifically talked about a Steam Deck version, or whether they want it to run on Steam Deck, or if there will be a Steam Deck verified version. We don't know, but it's almost certainly going to make it easier to run on Steam Deck. And it will also, yes, you won't need a Battle.net launcher, but you will need a Battle.net account linked in order to play it. But you can play it without a launcher, which is cool to see. And the big cool piece of news as well is that they've said they want to bring other Blizzard games to Steam. I've been holding off buying like Diablo 2 Resurrected on Battle.net because I'm like, this Microsoft merger is going to go through at some point. They're going to release this shit on Steam, and I'd rather have it on Steam and play it on my Steam Deck.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I've been thinking about it. But Overwatch 2 is a free-to-play game. So my biggest question is, will we have to purchase games on Battle.net and put them onto Steam? I don't know if you noticed, Tony. Crash 4, if you buy it on Steam, you have to launch it through Battle.net still, through Steam.
Oh, right, okay.
I didn't even know that until the other day. Their friend was streaming, and I was like, oh, you still have to use the Battle.net launcher for Crash 4. I think they should just straight up remove that at this point. Like, I don't understand why Overwatch 2 doesn't have to have the Battle.net launcher, but a game that...
I'm going to be honest, all of these things don't need a launcher. Like, if you have the experience tool that launches and you trust the platform you're selling it on to, like, just, like, connect to your server, you don't need the launcher. Like, it's entirely arbitrary that why they want it.
Yeah,
I think they use launchers to advertise is like the biggest, like the last like 10-year thing is like people have been doing. Maybe 5 years, but
well, I mean they're releasing on Steam. I don't know why they would do that. In unrelated news, they've said that Blizzard Activision admits that Overwatch 2 engagement and player count investment is declining. So they've gone out and said, yeah, people aren't playing Overwatch 2 as much as they used to since we completely cancelled the whole point of Overwatch 2. Yeah. I wonder why that is. Yeah. And also, Activision Blizzard laid off esports staff as it faces potential dramatic changes for the Overwatch League. 50 Overwatch League employees were let go, and the teams were told if they wanted to leave the league, they would have to pay a $6 million exit fee. Man, I feel like Overwatch League has been fucking dead since it launched. I feel like nobody was ever interested in Overwatch League, and the fact that it's gone on this... Dude, has Blizzard ever intentionally had a successful esport, is my question. Like,
No.
StarCraft was successful on its own, and Blizzard could never recreate the success.
I would argue when they involved themselves more in StarCraft 2, it made it worse.
They tried with Heroes of the Storm. That died. They released Heroes of the Storm way after League of Legends launched. Nobody wanted to play it. They tried with the Call of Duty League that people don't seem interested at all in for the Activision side. WoW esports has always been kind of a joke.
Well, there's a what?
There's WoW esports every year at BlizzCon. So
what? Okay.
Yeah, the arena mode, PvP, WoW esports.
Wow.
Wow.
Well, I'm in PvE. I don't care.
I think they do like mythic race events. So they do like every time there's a new raid tier out, they have like a race to see who can beat it first, and then they also do mythic dungeons as like an event to see who can get the furthest as well for PvE stuff. But yeah, let's move on. Steam Workshop search has been improved. So there's new improvements to the Steam Workshop search. When you search within a game's workshops, the results will now handle partial string matches and will organize the results to prioritize the most relevant results, taking into account popularity and user ratings. It should be easier to find that specific thing you're looking for on the Steam Workshop now, which is pretty cool to see.
Yeah.
Let's move on to Nvidia news. RTX IO GPU accelerated storage technology debuts this month in Portal, RTX, and Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. I have played both of these games. So I have experienced texture streaming RTX. So if you don't, RTX IO is basically Nvidia's branded name for GPU decompressed direct storage, which essentially allows you to directly load in textures straight to the GPU decompression rather than having to go through the RAM and the CPU, which will massively help out in CPU limited games. Potentially could be worse in GPU limited games because you're using GPU resources instead of using the CPU, but it should generally
it should be no worse, but yeah.
You should get faster loading times and higher resolution textures loading faster. So for RTX Portal Prelude, the base game itself is still running on Source. So there's nothing they could do about the loading times themselves. But one thing you may or may not notice is when you look at an object, the amount of time it takes to load the high resolution version of that is a lot shorter with the texture streaming of the RTX IO. And then with Ratchet & Clank, we had the full direct storage loading section of that. I've seen side-by-side tests of loading times with direct storage on and off, and it seems like direct storage doesn't seem that much faster than having it off on an SSD. It seems like the loading times are already pretty fast. It doesn't seem as fast as the PS5. Like, the PC version doesn't seem as optimized as the PS5 version yet. I don't know if that's a quirk of just how it runs on the PS5.
How long does it take to launch?
How long does the game take to launch?
Yeah,
I don't know how long I've just seen like side-by-side videos of somebody going through a Portal sequence of loading entire new levels, running side-by-side with direct storage on and off, and it seems like they're running at exactly the same speed with direct storage on and off. There doesn't seem to be like any concernable difference between direct storage on and off in Ratchet & Clank yet. I don't know if that's a bug. I don't know if it's just not noticeable enough that we're seeing a big difference, but we're going to have to wait and see more GPU decompressed direct storage stuff down the line and see if this is just an issue specifically where it's not implemented well, because the actual direct storage fast loading stuff, I don't know if you know this, like having a faster NVMe drive in Ratchet & Clank right now doesn't actually use more of the speed. It's always hard capped to the lowest NVMe. Like going from SATA to NVMe has a recognizable difference. Going from hard drive to SSD has a big difference, but NVMe using just like a bog standard NVMe drive to going to like a Gen 4, Gen 5 high speed NVMe drive, there's no difference in terms of loading time.
This is interesting.
It seems like there's a weird bottleneck at the moment. So I don't think we're seeing the full potential of RTX IO GPU decompression on Ratchet and Clank Rift. That could be a bug. I'm not sure. We're gonna have to wait and see if Nixus can put a patch out for Ratchet and Clank to see if this stuff gets fixed.
It's one of these where I expect like the tech to be improved, and the games that already have it in it be easier to like either implement the improvement or it just inherently has the improvement because it's underlying with the engine itself.
Let's move on to Blunders. The ESRB wants to start using facial scanning technology to check people's ages. Tony, can you look directly into your webcam to see if you can play this game?
I don't have a webcam.
The FTC is now seeking public feedback on ESBR. I think this is going to be in stores. Let me have a look. So, the SBA released a statement clarifying this technology does not confirm the identity of users, nor is it intended to scan the faces to minors to determine whether they are old enough to purchase particular games. It only uses images to determine the subject's age in order to ensure compliance with COPPA privacy requirements.
Okay, sure. Can we not... You know there's going to be a fallback system though, right? Like, there's going to be a time where it's like, it's so horrendously wrong. Like, where you're, like... There are people who, like, look younger than they should, right? Whereas, like, they look younger, but they're like, 30. And it's like, I feel like it's going to make exactly the same mistake that people do with these types of people. And it's like, can we not just have a more robust system? Like, this just seems entirely pointless.
Yeah, I mean...
Why? What problem is being... Like,
I don't know if
we have proof of these things if you, like, need to purchase something. Like, what's the issue?
I don't know if you know this, but our old pals Tencent over in China have been using facial recognition to keep kids from playing too many video games. Yeah,
I'll tell you now, the China stuff is not perfect, even if they report it as perfect.
Yeah, but apparently they filed a proposal with the FTC in America, and they want a new verifiable parental consent mechanism called the Privacy Protective Facial Age Estimation, the PPFAE. So the parent takes a selfie assisted by an auto face capture module, which is analyzed by the system to ensure it is the face of an adult, who can then grant whatever permissions are required. The entire process of verification takes less than a second on average. The images are permanently deleted after the verification is complete. In the same way that when you deactivate or delete your Facebook account, Meta definitely doesn't keep any of those images or data around. They get rid of them, guys. Don't worry about it.
Can I just say, in my opinion, I don't think it's... I know we're talking about like problems of like storing data, but in my opinion, the system of like... Because obviously, in this country, you have a national insurance number. Every single person has a national insurance. I think America has they call it a social security number, I believe.
Yeah.
So it's NI here, social security over there. Why can't it then just be like attached to a fingerprint or some other sort of recognizable thing? To like, because I can understand like, oh, why didn't we just use that number? It's like, well, if someone's stolen it, just use it. Like, just let's say if a kid just uses their parent's number, it's like, okay, fine, you need to prove that it's you. But it's like, can we? There must be a better system. This just seems so dumb. Like, what's to stop some random stranger from just going, "Yep, there's my face"? I just don't. Okay, here's one for you. What if a child takes the camera and just like sneakily scans someone?
Yeah, I mean,
I don't see the point. Like, you're doing nothing.
Yeah, I don't know if I also trust AI to accurately understand how old a person is based on the looks.
That's the thing. Like, either last year or the year before, it was in this country, and then the EU like agreed with it. It was like they agreed, like, because they were going to roll out more policing stuff based upon like facial recognition. However, it turned out it wasn't as accurate as they thought it was once it was like independently tested. It's like, so it wasn't ready. So why the hell do we know that this is actually ready to do this? Or is it another thing where it's like, oh, it can't.
Well,
If you have a darker skin, it thinks you're
it's
like
important
10
to
years younger.
note
So
that of the proposal of this is it is none of this is proposed as a replacement for current systems. It would be an
no, it never
optional
is.
verification method that will be
Yeah,
particularly used to people who don't have photo ID.
but
Yeah, that's what
sure.
their statement they made. The ESRB
I
actually
would yeah,
made its
they have ideas they want it to be though.
the ESRB actually made its request to the FTC back on June 2nd, but it's only become to light now via game industry because the FTC is now seeking public comment on the plan. So if you'd like to share your thoughts, you've got until August 21st to do so at federalregister.gov. So
Yeah.
I'm
If
guessing
you're American,
an
if you're
American
US citizen,
citizen and you don't like the
yeah.
idea of this, you can file a complaint with the FTC.
Yeah, please do, because they. My understanding is like a lot, like the lot of their power only comes from like they almost like package like or other people tell them, and like then like be able to then use that, then go to other governmental
Well, I wrote down
institutions.
drink verification can, which is like an old meme about someone having to wake up and drink like verification cans of Monster Energy drink every time they wanted to do something on the internet. And I think we are
What
moving
is that?
closer and closer to that dystopian future.
Yeah.
Next up, Microsoft has like re-enabled a bunch of its old servers for games. So we saw earlier they resurrected a bunch of old like Call of Duty, like Black Ops and Modern Warfare servers
Yeah,
on
because I
the
saw
Xbox.
people were complaining about that, right? And it's like they then shut down third-party
Yes, they
dedicated
shut down
server sites.
third-party dedicated servers for Modern Warfare. Like there was a community-made one for Modern Warfare Remastered that people were loving, but they decided they didn't want people to play it. And then they went back and they turned on all the old servers for like the Xbox version, the Xbox 360 versions of the old Call of Duty games. And then they've also turned on the Xbox 360 servers for Shadowrun from 2007. So you can play that again on
That's
Xbox.
huge.
I don't know why they're just randomly turning on all these things, but yeah, Microsoft news. And Microsoft is also changing Xbox Gold to Xbox Game Pass Core, and it's launching in September 21st. So Xbox Game Pass Core will replace Xbox Live Gold, which is basically the paid subscription to play online games on the Xbox services. And is offering online multiplayer and a library of 20 plus games to stream from for $10 a month or $60 a month. So it is essentially the same price as Xbox Gold. So it seems like they're just rebranding Xbox Live Gold to be basically a Games Pass option.
Right.
So with this base, it's basically like, so the way Xbox Gold worked was you would get 2 games for free every month, which got added to your Xbox library. Then this is being replaced with 25 plus games will be available for you to stream from the Games Pass library. So you get access to Among Us, Descenders, Dishonored 2, Doom Eternal, Fable Anniversary, Fallout 4, Fallout 76, Forza Horizon 4, Gears 5, Grounded, Halo 5 Guardians, Halo Wars 2, Hellblade, Sesuna's Sacrifice, Human Fall Flat, Inside, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, Psychonauts 2, State of Decay 2, Elder Scrolls Online, Tamriel Unlimited, and Microsoft said this list will grow in the coming months. So initially I saw some people going, well, you're losing access to those 2 games you get for free every month. And it's like, yeah, but those 2 games you got for free every month were added to your Xbox game library, but you could only play them if you had an active Xbox Gold sub.
Yeah.
So
it
essentially,
wasn't there once you stopped.
Essentially, what this is doing is it's the exact same price as Xbox Gold, so it's just changing the name, and you're getting access to a much bigger, in my opinion, better pool of games from what was offered previously in Xbox Gold. It just seems like they're just trying to rebrand to full Games Pass and then also push people towards going, hey, if you want to stream these games, you get them for free for your multiplayer subscription. If you want to stream more, you can upgrade your Game Pass tier and get more. Is essentially what
It
they're doing
sounds
here.
like their old marketing BS worked though, because people honestly thought they got these games forever.
Yeah, with the games for gold thing.
Which was not true. People didn't realize until they stopped subscribing. And my understanding is a lot of people just like kept them subscribing forever.
Yeah. Let's move on to business news and then we can end. Tencent, our good friends from China, has become a majority shareholder in Dying Light studio Techland. Techland has said will remain creative freedom and will still own full ownership of its IPs and maintain its creative freedom.
But will they be able to add Winnie the Pooh into their games though?
I don't think so.
Will they be able to criticize China in their games though?
If they have creative freedom, I guess they would.
I guess technically. I wonder if like my thing is though is like they might have that, but is there like things that Tencent can do to try and like withhold funds or something if they don't like it?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a bit concerning, but I mean, kind of a shame. It's not really Tencent's fault per se.
Yeah, the CEO will continue to be the CEO. Techland have already put the feelers out on a potential Dying Light 3. Dying Light 2 just came out like last year. Don't games take like 6 or 7 years to develop? Yeah. And Tencent earlier this year made an investment into Lighthouse Games, a new studio founded by Playground Games co-founder and studio director Gavin Rayburn. So Tencent making more business moves, buying up studios. We'll have to wait for this House of Cards to... I feel like they're building up to something, and we're just waiting to see what's going to happen eventually.
Game censorship. Unable to be politically...
Let's read the Petermology tweet and end. Imagine a game where you have 3 save files, yet each one has you play from a different perspective, where you can directly affect the world within the other 2 save files. That's a revolutionary idea. Somebody said, dude, that's Animal Crossing. Somebody else said, Pathological should have done this. Somebody said, my brain feels like a tree that'll grow as I progress through life. Thank you for my holy wisdom, Mr. Molydeux.
Yeah, so something it's okay, it says Resident Evil 2. Because I was going to say, like, isn't it just like one of those games where it's like you can play multiple perspectives? But it's not technically a different save game. You just, in one save game, then can choose which character you want to play as.
Matt here says, a corrupted save file can spread to the other save files unless your character has the courage to stop it.
Okay.
Right.
So this is like a meta game at that point.
That's the end of the podcast. YouTube.com @everythinginbetween podcast if you want to watch the YouTube VOD. Twitch.tv/Scorn if you want to watch live. Shows.cast.com/everythinginbetween. Everything-in-between-podcast. There will be links to the Apple podcast and the Spotify version at Scorn2000 on Twitter if you want to follow me there for some reason. And we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.